Hi, so I'm here at the ICCE 2016. That is the International Conference on Consumer Electronics held in Las Vegas alongside the CES taking place here. And we're very pleased to welcome Scott Jenson,
Hello.
who's just given a very interesting talk. He is from the Google, well, perhaps you better explain what the team does.
Oh, I'm on the physical web project within Chrome at Google.
Okay, excellent. Now, Scott gave this talk where he described, he explained that with the IoT, the Internet of Things, there's a little bit of a disillusionment going on, and however, there is hope. There's ways in which we can bring all of these Internet-connected devices into our homes and into our lives without it becoming more complicated. And so I'd like to ask and start off, Scott, could you tell us about the smart parking meter, or the parking meter of the future? How will it work?
Well, the idea is that so many devices are now going to be smart, whether it's a parking meter or a baby buggy or a dog collar. And so the intention is, how do you walk up and use it instantly? How to make it as quick and easy as possible? So what we're trying to do is make it so you can go to the parking meter, pick it, and then interact with it without having to install anything or worry about anything. And then when you leave, it's just gone. It's like a kind of a use it and lose it kind of scenario.
So what we would probably today try to do is install an app on our phones and then hope we don't run out of battery or...
Well, even what's the right application, and because there could be similar names and so forth. So the app installation process is quite difficult, and so we're just basically standing on the shoulders of the web, and we're just trying to be a click away like the web is. And so we're making it really quick and easy for you to click on a URL and go to a web page, and you're in.
Okay. So how does this work? And if I understood what you described earlier correctly, each of these Internet of Things is acting as a kind of beacon on its own, and it broadcasts its own identification.
A URL. It's just broadcasting a web page.
And that's over a wireless or radio standard.
Bluetooth Low Energy, classic open standard, yep.
And that leads to its own web page. So each device now has its own web.
That's the idea, yes.
Good. Now, that to me sounds like it could, I'm walking down the street and I'm getting all kinds of alerts on my phone saying, you've just walked past another smart parking meter, and that's the 15th in the last 5 minutes. And that could get a bit cumbersome. Why is that not the case?
Well, because unlike other technologies which send these vibrating alerts to your pocket, we won't do that. We will only show you the list if you pull out your phone, unlock it, and then pull down the list. So we'll only show you the list effectively if you ask for it. So therefore, you will not be bothered as you walk down the street. You will only get the list when you say, I would like to know what's around me. In that case, you do the search, you see what's available, and then you're in. So we're trying very hard to protect the user's attention by doing it this way.
That's very good, because we've all seen that film where Tom Cruise walks into a shopping mall and gets completely bombarded with messages. So you're explaining that this method that you've described is not going to lead to that.
Oh, absolutely, because Bluetooth back in the 90s had push notifications, and a lot of people took advantage of it and spammed users, and we all turned it off again. So everything that we do with this process, from the way we broadcast the beacons to the way we alert the user, to the way we actually triage the results, to the way they go to the web browser, it's all meant to protect the user.
Okay, brilliant. So let's now imagine we've got a number of devices or objects that are broadcasting their codes. We can choose what we want to opt into. How are we going to know what we want to opt into?
Well, think of this as like a Google search, right? You open it up, you get the results, and then you pick what you want. And so it's just simply effectively a little helper that's saying, this is what's available, which one would you like to get? So that's all it's really doing. So hopefully there's not too much filtering involved. You just say, oh, I want the map of the mall, or this is the dog that I'm in front of, let me help call the owner. So it's that kind of thing, which we hope will make it really clean and simple.
Brilliant. Now, you said that each device is going to take us to it's going to have its own web page.
Correct.
Well, first of all, that's a lot of web pages, but it's we've moved from the browser to apps, and you're saying we're now going back again to the browser?
The Chrome team has always maintained that this is not a war. It's not web versus native. In fact, you can have a URL that can deep link into a native application if you wish. we're just trying to say is that we've kind of forgotten what the web is really good at, which is kind of this interaction on demand. So I could go to this page, if a lost dog is there, this web page could be 16K, it'll load in half a second to be really quick. That's so much easier than downloading the Find Your Dog, Lost Dog app, which maybe nobody's used. So it's all about this lightness. And by the way, if we're agnostic to whether or not it's web or native.
Okay, I see. That was a nice example you gave of the dog collar. Could you go through a few slower steps on how that might work?
Well, if the collar is broadcasting a URL and you're close to the dog, and then of course it'll be at the top of the list because it's close, and then you go to the page, and let's say it's run by the Humane Society. So then you call the Humane Society. The idea of the dog is already in the web page, and you say, I found this dog, and they're like, oh, we'll call the owner, just stay put, or they'll call you, or whatever. So whatever the mechanism. I mean, I'm making up a dog finding service on the spot, but the whole idea is that it's a web page of information that will then let them do whatever's appropriate.
Okay, brilliant. Let's take another fun example. The restaurant buzzer. I've gone into a restaurant. There seems to be a queue. They give me one of those little buzzing blocks and tell me to go and sit down and make myself comfortable somewhere. And the thing will start buzzing and probably give me a heart attack when I'm least expecting it after 15 or 30 minutes or so. How might that be? How might that look in the future?
Well, again, because the web has got all these lovely new standards, the physical web just basically would say you walk into the restaurant and you see the restaurant webpage. It could just be hours. But if they subscribe to web push notifications, which is a web technology, not physical web, that means you can say, yes, please, I'm opting in. You buzz in my pocket. I'm asking you to buzz in my pocket when my turn is up. You do that and you put the phone in your pocket, and then your phone becomes the buzzer. So you replace a $2,000 system with a $4 beacon. It's a significantly cheaper, simpler way to do it.
Wow. So many different applications, and it seems so beneficial. Who's controlling all of this?
The whole idea is to build this like the web was built, which is it's open standard for the beacons, it's open standard for the scanner, it's an open scanner for the proxy service for the web. So we're building the first application to kind of kickstart the market, but Opera is already building their own version, and other companies are considering it, and that's exactly what we want. We don't want this to be controlled by one company. It's supposed to be just the web. Like there's websites and there's web browsers. We want there to be multiple physical web browsers as well. And that, I think, will encourage trust, and it will decentralize it so people can kind of trust that no one company is controlling it.
Just remains for me to say, Scott Jenson from Google, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I enjoyed the questions. Thank you.